Hey up Leeds, how are you all doing? Slowly getting back to normal. Some resemblance of normality, I hope. Lyddiard was my guest this week. He runs Performance Ensemble, which is a theatre company of performers aged 60 and over. Alan believes that older people have valuable contributions to make to society, and that as we age we can become invisible to others, and that must change. Alan's a great storyteller and he has a lovely voice. Have a listen. On this episode of Corona Bloody Virus Extraordinary Episodes, we have Alan Lyddiard, who's come along to speak to me. Hello, Alan.
Hello, how are you?
I'm very well, thank you. Are you?
Yeah, I'm good, thanks.
Alan, you are coming along to tell me about Performance Ensemble. Can you tell me some more about that?
Sure. So the Performance Ensemble is a theatre company, mostly, but I think we do more than just theatre. We work with people over the age of 60. So we're an older person's theatre company, creating work that is about what it's like to be older now, I think. I think that's what most of the work is about, although, you know, it's not a kind of moan about anything. It's actually quite a positive thing about the contribution that people can make as they grow older.
Brilliant. And do you have lots of people in your ensemble? Do you have people who come and go and regulars? How does it work?
Yeah, well, we have some regulars. So basically, there's a core ensemble that we've built up over the last couple of years, and that's about 40 people. And they meet regularly now, every Friday. In fact, we've just had a meeting this morning, and we discuss things, you know, and we have classes and we do workshops. I mean, you know, we're meeting now on Zoom, but hopefully soon we'll be meeting in actuality, face to face, and that will be really brilliant. And then,
yeah, it'd be great to get back to that.
Oh, so much. We're getting bored with Zoom, to be honest. And then we also have a kind of collection of people that are outside the core ensemble, and there must be about 100 of those now, who pop in and attend things occasionally, you know?
Yeah.
But the main objective is that for 2023, we want to build a company of older performers of 1,000. We want to get 1,000 older people together to create something special for Leeds 2023.
That sounds amazing. I read a little bit about that on your website and talking about going out and performing in places that you wouldn't normally see performances.
Yeah, we've done quite a lot of that. You know, I mean, the first performance we did some years ago now was at Leeds Playhouse. We did a show called Anniversary, and we involved people that were have been professional artists all their lives, and people who were non-professional, who hadn't been doing it all their lives, but have been doing many other interesting things. So, you know, there were teachers, there were social workers, there were antique dealers, there were factory worker, and they all brought something different to the whole. And we made a piece of theatre called Anniversary, which was based on stories of remembering things on a regular basis, i.e. birthdays, significant events that happen in life that we celebrate. And it was full of dance, full of music, full of stories, and it's all based on the people that tell the stories. So the people who are actually performing, the production is about them, and it's their story, telling it live to people. So it's very authentic. And we started with that. Sorry.
I was saying that sounds really good.
It was good. It worked really, really well. And it was lovely to see the relationship with what are classified as non-professional and professional performers. And there's something very special about the space between those two parts of our company. You know, we have very brilliant professional artists who spent all their life working in the arts, and they bring something special to the productions, but also people that haven't been spending all their life in the arts also bring something very special to the performance. And it's the combination of those two things that I think make us quite unique. Anyway, so we did that in 2016. And then we started building gradually, year by year, the ensemble into growing bigger and bigger. In 2018, we did a show at the ballroom of the Queen's Hotel with 93 people in it. And then we followed that up with a show last year called Bed, which was actually old people just left in beds around the city centre, and people would stumble across an old person lying in a bed and think, goodness, what's that? And maybe would chat to them or would hear stories from them. And it was a very special piece of work. And then this year we've started work on a new production, which is called Crossing, which is about those sort of significant moments in life that make us change in some way. And it's all seen through the lens of an older person.
Yeah.
But it's for audience of all ages, it's not just for old people.
Is it quite difficult to coordinate that amount of people when you've got sort of 90 performers? Is that quite a feat?
It is, it is. But, I've spent 40 years in the theatre myself, and I've done projects like this all over the place for years. And so I'm kind of getting used to how to do it now. But it is, you have to have a fantastic team, and that's how it works. You have a fantastic team of people that just make it easy for you to put everything together.
Oh, that's brilliant.
And we have. Yeah.
Do you get people who turn up who have never performed in their life and they're quite nervous about the whole process?
Well, yes, we do. And in a way, it's not just about performing. So, we start by everything's based on person to person. It's all person-centered. So the first thing we do is to make connections with people, normally through other organisations. We work very closely with Leeds Older People's Forum, for example, and we set up relationships with community centres around the city. So we work well with, I'm so sorry, there's things jamming on making funny sounds. We do lots of work with people, in different centres around Leeds. So we will work in Seacroft at the Chapel FM Art Centre. We'll work with a group in Chapeltown at the Feel Goods Factor Centre. We work with Beeston with a group at Health for All, and particularly the Chinese community, with a group called Lychee Red. So we work with lots and lots of little groups, and then gradually start to make relationships with individuals within those groups and start to have conversations with them. Just first of all, conversations. And that grows into them getting to tell stories and us starting to understand exactly what those stories can do to help us to make pieces of theatre. So that's how we start the process. And people can just tell stories and then start writing, and then maybe just tell them on a radio programme, or eventually maybe they will perform in a piece of theatre.
That sounds fantastic. And you talked a little bit about having to use Zoom during these strange lockdown times. Have you managed to sort of keep connected with everybody through all of this then? And what was the work that you had planned that you've had to cancel?
Nothing we've had to cancel, and we've been very fortunate that we have been given special financial support from Arts Council England, who set up this emergency fund for organisations that were having problems over the COVID-19 period. So we're lucky that we got some funding, and we managed to just change the way we work to include a sort of different way of building relationships. So first of all, we use a telephone a lot. We phone each other, and then we ask our key core members to phone their friends, and gradually you make a network of telephone conversations.
Yeah.
And out of those telephone conversations, you might gather, 20 or 30 stories, and then you will find a way of holding on to that story, whether that's you write it down yourself or you record the telephone conversation or you start to ask them if they would write it down. And gradually, you build a story. And it could take months for one story to emerge, but it's about the way in which you build a really truthful relationship with each person that you are trying to encourage to get involved.
That's excellent.
Yeah, the telephone has been good. Lots of older people find the internet a bit daunting. The telephone is something they remember. There's something they remember just sitting and talking to their family over the phone. It's a comfort zone, I think.
Yeah.
And so we've encouraged that more and more to just use the telephone. And out of those conversations, things are emerging. But it could lead, and it will lead, to a radio program, for example. We have a fantastic relationship with the Chapel FM Arts Centre, who have their own radio shows, and we will be making radio shows for them. But at the same time as we're doing that, we're making little films. We're teaching people how to make films themselves using their mobile phones or their computers, the cameras on their computers or the cameras on their phones. And they just start to find a good way to be able to present stories again. It's all based on stories of their lives, stories of their aspirations, stories of their concerns in life. And we capture it either in writing, either on the radio, or with these little films that we're making. So it's quite an interesting way to develop the work, because all the work that we gather now will go to form the final project in 2023.
Excellent. So really you're like a curator of stories.
We are. That's a good way of putting it. That's a great way of putting it. We collect, we gather, we make a library of stories, and we curate them. Currently, we do one story a day on Twitter. We send a note out every day on Twitter of a story that has been told by one of our members, and that's working really well.
Oh, brilliant. And I bet it's really nice for them to have the stories listened to, and they're valuable anyway, but you're sort of giving them this sort of import. That must be really nice for them.
I think so. People are getting better at telling stories as well. And the point is that we have to improve everything that we do every time we do something. So the telling stories is, it seems easy on the one hand. People are very good at chatting away in a pub and telling people about their lives, or talking on the phone to each other and telling stories of what happened that day. That seems quite an easy thing to do. But if you want to make it into a piece of art, you need to be able to not sort of make it a kind of whole, make it a piece of narrative that has a beginning, a middle, and an end, that has some light and shade, that has a narrative thread, that people can follow. And that is part of a training program that we might use with people.
Yeah, because that is quite a skill, isn't it, to be able to take a story and form it properly. So you actually help people through that process, take the raw story and work on it.
We do, and we have a team of people that do that, and they're mostly writers, or what we call dramaturgs. Drama people that can make stories from rough material, and also we have training programs. So a couple of weeks ago, we had a very wonderful storyteller called Sally Pom Clayton. She knows by the name of Pom Clayton, and she has been a storyteller for 30 years, has performed all over the world, and came to our Zoom meeting and gave us some hints and gave us some training in order to make sure that we can tell stories well. And she was great, and we will continue to work with people like her right up until 2023. so that when we get to 2023, the stories are really polished, they're really well told, they've got lots of light and shade in them, they're funny, they're sad, they're moving, they're inspiring, all these things that we need to make the stories kind of sing. But yeah, that's what we're aiming for.
Sounds brilliant. Sounds fantastic. I was just going to ask, have you always been in and around Leeds doing theatre things?
No, I came to Leeds from Scotland. I was working in Scotland just before I was in Leeds, doing a similar kind of thing. But I came to Leeds because I was trying to find the place, the real place, where working with older people would be recognised as a good thing to be happening. And Leeds has this philosophy that they want to be the best place to grow old in. This is what Leeds City Council have set up, a slogan which says, we are the best place to grow old in. And I thought that was a fantastic slogan. So that, first of all, attracted me to Leeds. And the second thing that attracted me to Leeds was the fact that Leeds Playhouse, who I've known of for many, many, many years, have had this project which they call Heydays, which every Wednesday older people come into the theatre and participate in a whole range of artistic endeavours, writing, singing, drama, dance, the whole shebang. And it's been going now for 30 years, and it is an incredible project. It's been lauded all across the country as being a wonderful project for older people. And many theatres have followed in that path,
Yeah.
And also, Leeds Playhouse is a leader in working with people with dementia, people who are living with dementia, and how they are, and how we use the arts to help those people to enjoy life, to give them something to enjoy as part of their daily life. So they're very good on that, and they're very good on working with older people. And the city itself is saying, we are the best place to grow old in. I mean, isn't that fantastic?
It really is, yeah.
That, a city council saying that, I think is wonderful. And it's not just them saying it, they actually do. They do it, and there's this incredibly good organisation who we work closely with called Leeds Older People's Forum, and they organise a network of, I think, about 30 neighbourhood networks, which is individual projects in community centres across the city, working with and for older people, taking care of them, giving them activities, making sure that they're safe, and just working out the best way for them to enjoy life as they grow older. And it's fantastic. That's what Leeds is about. Making life easy for people to live well and to have a strong, happy life. That's what I've discovered here.
That's great. And how long have you actually been here?
Well, I've been here many, many times. I mean, I live here now. I've probably only been living here for about 5 years, maybe a bit longer, 6 years. But I've been coming to Leeds regularly for 20 odd years. I ran a theatre company in Newcastle before I started this company up. And we made lots, it was called Northern Stage, and we made theatre there in a similar way that Leeds Playhouse made theatre. And so we were constantly talking to each other and bringing productions to Leeds. So I bought many productions to Leeds over the years, and started to build relationships with, 3 of the recent artistic directors of the company. So I feel like I know Leeds very well from coming here and making theatre here, and then ultimately coming here to live.
And if people are listening to the podcast, Alan, and they want to get involved, how will they do that?
Well, they can go to our website, which is easy, and then all the information is there because but some people can't use the internet well, so they could also phone. So I'll give you my phone number, which is 07528 745 152. So I'm happy for people to phone me and to find out more about it, but go to the website if you can, and there's a link to join us, and you'll see all the information. I mean, the website is full of information, and the great thing about the website is that it's full of pictures. So you see people like yourself, and you think, yeah, if they can do it, I can do it.
Yeah,
that's the sort of that's the idea anyway.
Well, I'll put your phone number and the link to the website and everything in the podcast notes so that people can just click straight through.
That would be great. That would be so great. Thank you for that.
No problem. Alan, I always ask guests 3 questions. The first one being, what do you think is great about the city of Leeds? But I wonder if perhaps you've already answered that.
Well, I love Leeds. It is a great city, and it's a great city in terms of many things. I love the kind of vibe of the city. I mean, it keeps me young. I'm 71 now, and I feel that it's a young city. I feel it's kind of got an underbelly of exciting, vibrant, energetic young people that are making great things happen here.
Yeah,
I love the art here. I love the museums and the art galleries. I love the Everyman Cinema. I love the restaurants. The independent restaurants. I have a really beautiful time here. And it makes me feel young. But of course, the major thing is that it's a city that is for older people. Older people are important in this city, and they recognise the contribution that older people are making to the city, and they don't think of older people as a burden. And that's really important, That's a really important thing.
Of course it is.
Yeah. So that's my feeling about Leeds. Is that enough?
Yeah, it totally is. There's a lot of nice things there. What if you had to say something that's not so great about the city, what would you choose?
Okay, so, well, at the moment it's difficult because there's a hell of a lot of roadworks going on, particularly in the city centre, and that's complicated. And it's difficult to walk if you're an older person. Walking around the city is filled with little dangerous bits. But I suppose the thing that, and this is interesting for me because our project for 2023 is called the Bus Pass Project, which is about taking buses around the city to sites where they will see fantastic performance. And on the buses, there'll be lots of storytelling going on. You'll sit next to a performer on a bus and you will hear lots of stories about their life and about the journey that you're currently taking. So I spend a lot of time on buses and I enjoy it. But I have to say that there are some old buses that are pretty cranky, and sometimes it's difficult for older people to travel on a bus. And one of the things I would like to see happen, and I would like to see if this is possible when we're doing our production, is to reinstate the idea of conductors, even if it's just at the time when older people are using the buses. So after 9:30 in the morning till sort of lunchtime might be a good pilot scheme in which we just introduce the idea of conductors again.
What do you think? How do you think that would benefit older people?
Well, it would give them security on the one hand. It would make sure that they can get on and off the bus comfortably. It would make sure that they would have a seat that's easy. If there's somebody sitting in one of those buses that are normally reserved for older people or infirm people and somebody's sitting in it, a conductor can quite politely say, would you mind moving? But an older person feels slightly intimidated if it's a young person sitting in one of those seats. For example, that's just a little example. But the idea of care for the older traveller, I think, would be really helped by having a conductor on board. And the other thing that's great about conductors is they're normally very chatty. They tell you stories. They tell you things about the journey that is interesting. And you start to get to know conductors, and they become a friendly face that you can look forward to meeting next time you go onto a bus journey. I mean, the driver is very occupied. And if there's any trouble on the bus, then there's somebody that can deal with it, because sometimes the driver's unable to do that.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of keen on the idea of conductors again. I remember the days myself with those little machines that they had with the whirly tickets,
Yeah.
And it was great. It was great. And you felt like you were talking to a mate on the bus, One of the things, this is by the by, but this whole idea of the Bus Pass project started when I was doing a workshop in Rothwell about 6 years ago. And one of the participants and it was a storytelling project. And one of the participants said, these days, I've been feeling a bit lonely and depressed because my husband died quite recently, and I felt a bit lost. But do you know what I do? She said, I get my bus pass and I go off once a week on an adventurous journey, an adventure. And I've been to so many different places over the last year since he died, and I've had a really lovely time. And I always meet somebody, and I always see something new, or I go somewhere where I remember as a child and re-see it again, And this made me think, that was a fantastic story, I thought. And I thought, well, let's see if I can make a project based around that kind of idea. And so that's what we did. That's what we're doing.
It sounds like a great project. I think it's brilliant. I love the idea that you'd be sat next to a performer.
Yeah.
Because then you're in it. You're within the performance yourself, aren't you? Even as like an innocent bystander.
Yeah. It's great. And actually, you go to 4 different sites on the journey, and then come back to a 5th site. And on the 4 journeys, you would get off the bus. The audience would get off the bus and see some spectacular event, and then they get back on another bus and sit next to somebody else.
Yeah.
So they'd have 4 journeys of 4 little stories. And some of the people that are telling the stories will be from Beeston or from Armley or from, a local community. But some might be from Hong Kong or from Romania or from France or from Spain, because we're building relationships with countries across Europe and beyond, where we will invite older people to come and share this project with us in 2023.
What a great idea.
This is all part of the festival, the Leeds 2023 festival. I don't know if you're aware of it, but it's going to be fantastic. It's going to be very exciting, yeah. And we're doing one project, there'll be hundreds and hundreds of other projects.
Yeah, I can't wait. I'm really looking forward to it all. And Alan, if somebody had been a resident of Leeds for a long time, would you be able to tell them about something that you'd consider to be a hidden gem that they might never have heard of?
Well, I don't know. I bow to their knowledge, of course, but I have found some beautiful little squares that I love. So and they surprise you. So there's one, for example, I'm letting a cat out the bag here because now it will be flooded with people, but it's a little sanctuary for me. And it's just by the Merion Centre, near where the Leeds City Council offices are.
Yeah.
And it's called Queen Square. That's one that I know of and I go to regularly. I get a coffee out of Merion Centre. I go across the road to Queen Square. I sit on a bench and it's probably nobody else there. Maybe 1 or 2 other people are there. And it's really, really refreshing. I think it's called Queen Square. I mean, there's another Queen Square, of course, which is on Queen Street, so maybe I've got that wrong. But opposite the Merion Centre, the back of the Merion Centre, where the Leeds City Council offices are, there's this beautiful tiny square. And interestingly, I went there, I was taken there by somebody from Leeds City Council who told me about it, and we had a meeting there. So instead of going to her office to have a meeting, we met in this lovely little tiny square. And I've found that there are lots of these squares in Leeds that are unknown. People they don't use them very much. there's many of them, and you can discover your own. And the one that by the Merrion Centre is a lovely joy for me. And I've sat there in the sunshine over the years with a coffee and just thought about life and art.
It just sounds delightful.
Yeah. So I love that.
And what will you be doing with the rest of your day today, Alan?
Well, I've got another meeting. So straight after this, I'm going to meet with another Zoom meeting. This is I'm going to meet with Leeds Playhouse. As you will be aware, the government has just released news that they're going to support the arts and theatre, and they actually have, and the Arts Council itself has allocated some money to Leeds Playhouse, and there is a sense of what are we going to do after COVID, and when will the theatres open, and how will the theatres work in the future. Mm-hmm. So I've got a meeting with the directors of Leeds Playhouse to discuss how we might work together, the Performance Ensemble and Leeds Playhouse work together to create something for older people, both inside the Playhouse and outside the Playhouse over the coming months, and whether we can actually be inside the Playhouse anytime soon. That's what we'll be discussing. And that will be very interesting because I like the Playhouse very much. I think they're very, very good at what they do, and we have a very good relationship with them, and we work together on many, many projects. So let's see what the next project can be, and let's see when it might happen. So that's my next meeting.
Fingers crossed. I hope you get lots of good news, and
Thank you.
You can plan things for the future.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you so much for coming along and talking to me, Alan.
It's a pleasure. I'm sorry little bumps went. I think it was my email was still on. I've taken it off now.
I don't think I heard it. It's fine.
Okay, great. Thank goodness. Thank goodness.
So enjoy the rest of your day and good luck with everything. And I'm really looking forward to seeing the bus project.
Well, thank you very much. And thank you for inviting me. It's been a joy to chat to you.
You too.
Bye-bye.
I'm sure you'll agree that the Performance Ensemble are doing great work. Alan chose the track for the episode this week, which is by a very famous Leeds punk band, the Mekons, and this fantastic tune is called Where Were You? Enjoy!